Hey everyone, it's Anthony Scott of Toy Hype USA. I'm sitting here with Rik Alvarez, former brand director for Hasbro on Transformers.
I was never a brand director for Hasbro.
Brand manager.
I was never a brand manager for Hasbro. I was the creative manager.
Creative manager.
I was the creative manager.
Here we go.
What are you doing? Why are you stopping it? Oh, that's good.
Leave it.
That's
It's
good.
fine. Dude, let it roll. This is all live, guys. We're just going to stream this later, but you'll catch it after we've edited out the fun stuff.
See, I should have asked you that beforehand.
Yeah, I was a creative manager.
I forgot. Yeah.
It's been a few years too for me, so
Yeah.
I probably forgot a lot too.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, I'm sitting here with Rik Alvarez, of course, Triptychon, and you guys know Mark.
Hey, guys. We're here hanging out with Rik today, who invited us up after HasCon. We just left HasCon, packed up our stuff, and drove out here to come visit Rik, who's going to share with us some of the stories of your
That's right.
exploits with Hasbro. We want to hear your Alan Hassenfeld story again.
Okay.
That's fun. But
right.
We're going to turn it over to Rik.
Well, thanks for visiting me here on in my home on the Forest Moon of Endor. All right, so I was telling these guys about my one and only Alan Hassenfeld story. So this is back when Revenge of the Sith came out, whenever that was, 2002, 2003.
Were you still in college?
I was
Give us your
out of
timeline.
college. I was working at a movie theater.
Selling tickets.
I was not doing anything spectacular. So I go to Toy Fair. Somehow I get an invite to come up to Toy Fair. And I go up there, and it was like the day before all the press goes in. It's like, well, we're still setting up, and you're not going to get the full experience. I don't care. Can I go in? Yeah. See, don't take any pictures because it's not all set up. All right, fine. So I go in, and I do the tour. And then at the end of the tour, they give everyone a gift. Like, thank you for coming. Here's your swag.
Pre-swag bag.
Yeah, here's your stuff. So I look at it, it's really nice. It's like a nice big glossy box, and it says Revenge of the Sith, and it's got Anakin Skywalker, a little Anakin Skywalker figure. You open the box, and then the figure rotates in the box to reveal Darth Vader. Spoiler if you haven't seen Revenge of the Sith. So I'm looking at this thing, and everyone goes, ooh, and the receptionist says, you're the first one to get it. And I asked her, how many of these are there? She's like, I think we only have 30. Put a pin in that. So, a guy standing next to me, he's like, I'll give you $1,000 for that right now. And I look over at him, I look down at my toy, and $1,000 back then could have bought me a car. So I slowly start to hand it off to him, and he takes it out of my hand. He goes, ha ha ha, I'm gonna put this on eBay. I'm like, well, okay, I got my $1,000, and he gives it back to me. He's like, no, you sell it, make money, have fun. I'm like, he walks away. Well, who is this guy? He offered me $1,000, and then he just walks away from me. And the receptionist says, oh, that's Alan Hassenfeld. Who? Alan Hassenfeld. Huh? Hassenfeld Brothers? What? Hassenfeld Brothers, Hasbro. Oh! Does he work for Hasbro? Okay. I was more naive than I am now. So I get on the elevator with this guy, and I'm looking at him, this tall guy. And I'm looking at him. He's like, you gonna sell that on eBay? I'm like, I don't know. Are you gonna buy? He's like, nah, I'm not gonna buy. He's like, you sell it, make money. Okay. So the lady told me, and that was, by the way, the only time I ever spoke with Alan Hassenfeld. I've seen him a bunch of times. It's the only time I ever spoke to him.
And you worked for the company.
That
was it.
That was pre me working for the company. That was 10 years before I worked for the company.
Oh, wow.
God.
Okay.
So I remember that. And she said, we only have 30 of them. And in my head, it didn't click. I thought she said, there's only 30 of these, not, hey, there's only 30 per case, or, hey, there's only 30 that we have at the moment, or, hey, we're giving out 30 days. In my head, there's only 30 of these. So here's where we get to the eBay part. So I put it up on eBay, and my buddy was with me, and he puts his up on eBay, and we decide, okay, we're going to sell these, we're going to split it. First one, we put a buy it now of $2,000. boom, sells right away. Second one, we put it up. Starting bid $2,000. And we put in the auction, there are only 30 of these.
Right.
That's it. You're getting one of the 30 that were available. And we get a call from Paula Walsh, who is, at the time, she was in, and I love Paula, she was in marketing. And she leaves a message like, I have some questions about your eBay auction. Can you give me a call back? Sure. We'll call her back Monday after the auction. So the second one, and these are still rare.
Right.
The second one ended up going for $4,600.
Wow.
I think to a guy in England. And he paid right away.
Right.
So I think part of that money ended up going towards me putting a down payment on a ring.
I thought you were going to tell me legal fees.
Yeah. No.
He would know all about that.
So we call Paula back eventually after this guy's already paid. She's like, where's this? There's only 30 of them available. I'm like, oh, that's what the lady told us. There was only 30 available. She's like, no, I think maybe you misunderstood what she was trying to say. Like, there was just 30 available at the moment. It's like, oh, sorry about that. So years later, I end up working with Paula through the Collectors Club, and then eventually I go to Hasbro and work there.
Right.
And one day, we were just walking through the hallways. She's like, hey, remember that Star Wars thing? I'm like, yeah, I sold that for a lot of money. It's like, is it still worth anything? I'm like, well, I don't know. It's been a few years since one of them popped up on eBay. She's like, I got a couple cases that was sitting in my basement. Okay. Well, you let me know if you need help moving them out of your basement to another location. So that's the Alan Hassenfeld story that goes to the eBay story.
That's funny. Too much.
So, what have you been doing with yourself in recent years? You had 2 Kickstarters for Play With This 2, Lost Protectors, and neither one, unfortunately, didn't happen. I was pushing for it. I really wanted to see this happen.
Oh, thank you.
Rick. I remember at the time, I'm like, please, please, please let this go through.
I was kind of hoping it was going to work out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't remember the Kickstarter campaign because I'm not a Kickstarter guy. But did you put on there formerly of Hasbro, or you're not?
Oh yeah,
allowed
I was pimping all that stuff.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and then the whole crew. I got a bunch of guys who used to work at Hasbro to come help me with it.
Yeah, Aaron Archer was involved.
Yeah, Aaron
right?
Archer was helping me. He did some design work. I got Simon Furman involved.
Simon Furman, yes.
I got some other guys who were freelancers, so they weren't employees. They were freelance, and they still do freelancing. Marcello Matera, Emiliano Santaluca. I think that's how you say his name. Italians, man. Ken Christensen.
Oh wow.
Eric Siebenaler, who was another Hasbro employee. He was no longer with the company. These are all people that threw in and helped us out. And then we made a point to try and find some new people that were trying to get into the industry as well. Like they'd never had an opportunity, so we're trying to like get them involved and trying to make them happen, like Fetch. But Fetch never happened. That's a Mean Girls reference.
Yeah.
Okay. Fetch
me this, fetch me that.
Fetch isn't going to happen. Stop saying fetch.
Yes.
So,
So this is what I love about this, hanging out on a deck. You can't talk like this at a trade show or something, which is where we usually interview, and that's what's going to make this video what's making this video so unique. We're just hanging out, thinking of our minds. You don't have to hold anything back.
No, I can enjoy a stogie.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, we can.
So, the first Kickstarter, our goal was 80,000, and the person who I was using to be my middleman for the factory in China was Wayne Park, another guy formerly of Hasbro. He had worked on everything, Nerf and G.I. Joe, Transformers.
Oh, Wayne.
I think he was a Toy Biz guy.
Yeah.
No, was he?
He
was a Tiger guy.
Tiger.
He was Tiger guy.
Electric.
Yes.
Tiger Electronics.
And through various company
right.
purchases, he ended up at Hasbro, and he was at Hasbro for many years. So he was going to be my middle guy. So it was like a Hasbro reunion. It was like the crew. reunion.
Right.
And out of our $80,000 goal, we got to, I think, 72,000. So it's like a used car away from hitting our goal. And people are like, well, why do you throw money in? Well, that's the whole point of Kickstarter. You're trying to raise money. And if you throw your own money into a Kickstarter, then you have to pay Kickstarter a fee.
Right.
So why would I waste my money? I would just lower the goal for funding.
Could you have lowered the goal before it closed?
No, you can't do that on Kickstarter.
I don't know how Kickstarter works. I just know that I've seen some people do things on Kickstarter, but never came to fruition.
Yeah, they don't give you that option, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah. So that was with the Desolator figure. And then we tried again with 2 different figures, which was Boneyard and Jetstrike.
Yes. And you had about 8 different decos for each one, right?
I think we did 5.
5?
For each one, because you have to make a certain amount of figures.
Yes.
So the factory had said to us, you have to make 5,000 figures. We don't care if you make 100 in this color, or 500 in this color, or 1,000 in this color.
Once the molds are made, you've got to produce a certain amount to make it worth their time.
You have to make 5,000 of each figure. So, okay. So that's why we offered so many different colors up front.
Right.
But now that I have a much better understanding of how Kickstarter campaigns work, and I thought I had done my research, but until you actually go through it, you really don't know until you experience it. So now my niche is helping people get their Kickstarters going and getting them funded, which I couldn't do for myself. So it's kind of ironic that I couldn't make my Kickstarter work, but I make other people's Kickstarter work.
That's great. That's really nice.
It's actually more satisfying because my work pretty much ends once the Kickstarter is over.
Okay.
So I set them up with the factory in China, and I introduced them to artists. And you need someone to do the video? Okay, I got this guy. I got this guy. I got this guy.
So
and then
I hope they pay you for this.
Sure.
Look, how many stuff have I consulted on toy-wise? Look at the Funko thing I helped them create with the Batman stuff.
Yeah.
In the early stages of Funko, before Brian sold the company. Right? I gave Brian, you know Funko?
I'm aware.
Okay. Brian sold the company recently to, I want to say a company in the Netherlands or Switzerland. Prior to that, when he was first starting out, I gave him an idea 5 years ago, to do the 66 Batmobile vehicle with the pop. Because they just released it. Hasbro released it. I'm sorry, not Hasbro. Who was it? Mattel released it in the die-cast version in 07. So, and it was the only vehicle available.
And it's still in Toys R Us.
Still in Toys R Us. Actually Target still has them every now and then for $19.99. But they released that, and they're pushing the crap out of them. But I gave them that idea on a whim. I said, listen, I'm a diehard Batman fan. You want to do something that's going to make you money? Make a 66 Batmobile. Now, do you see what they did with it? You know the 3 3/4 inch reaction figures? Well, they did away with the reaction brand.
Yes.
But they came out with a Batmobile with the Batman and Robin, and the only way to get Robin is in the 2-pack exclusive with the Batmobile.
Yeah, there's some universal brands that have appeal to a wide array of people.
Absolutely.
There's people who are diehard fans. There's people who collect casually. There's people who, oh, that's cute and different. I'll get that. And then there's the people who are kind of impulse buyers. Batman is definitely one of those brands. I would say Transformers, Star Wars.
Even Marvel.
Marvel. To a lesser degree, maybe He-Man.
Well, He-Man's niche, but you've got a lot of people out there.
Did anyone notice that the He-Man convention was the same weekend as as HasCon?
I wanted to do PowerCon, but I already made promises to Hasbro for this weekend, so I had to, and it's an easier trip too.
Yeah.
Where's PowerCon?
It's in California.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So there was also another con. Dragon Con was this weekend also.
Was that this weekend?
Dragon Con was this weekend.
Dragon Con? That's in Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I saw clips from somebody on Facebook when I was trying to post.
So that's
stuff.
almost in the tornado area, the hurricane area.
So you're gonna have a lot of cosplayers stuck together
in a hotel.
in a hotel, wearing their outfits.
Or not wearing their outfits.
Man, that actually sounds more fun than actually going to the convention. Is being stuck in the hotel with the cosplayers.
Yeah.
But remember now, cosplay does not mean consent.
Yes. So I had all these files left over, all these things I paid money for, assets, but I didn't know how to use them. I didn't know if anybody cared. So I helped this guy. Calls me out of the blue. His name's Solomon Witt. He's like,
Solomon is actually a good friend of mine. I know Solomon well.
Wow.
Hey, Solomon. Yeah, I've known Solomon for 20 years.
So
He's up in Queens.
yeah, Saul calls me. He's like, somebody referred you to me, and I'm calling you.
You know who referred you?
I have no idea.
Digger Mesh.
Digger.
Digger.
Wow.
These are all the guys I hung out with back in the day. I've known.
Do you know Robert Yee, who used to work at the asylum?
No.
Okay.
I've known Digger because I've known him forever from Artisan.
Yeah,
back
I've
in the
only
day.
met Digger a couple times.
Digger probably referred you. I'm almost positive. I could guarantee it.
So he calls me. He's like, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to do this Kickstarter."
The Screamers.
Yes. And I don't know how to do it. I've been doing this other stuff for many years, and I just need someone to help me verbalize it and structure it and help me push things out. And I thought it was just going to be a phone call. So he calls me, and 2 hours later, I say, all right, send me what you got. I'm going to write this up for you. I'm going to write your story part up for the campaign. I'm going to help you structure the Kickstarter page. And something in my head clicked that, well, this guy's trying to do what I did, but he's worse off than I was.
So green, you had no idea.
So I'm like, I feel like I owe it to him to help him because people helped me and nobody had to help me, but people did. So I have to pay it forward and help him. And
I thank you for that because I've known Solomon since he was a 15-year-old kid.
Saul and I talk almost every day now.
Tell him Mark Rosenzweig came by and hung out with you for an afternoon.
I will never remember that last name.
I'll give you one of my cards. You'll remember.
Never remember that.
Just tell him
name.
Batman Mark.
Batman Mark.
Batman Mark.
The
Solomon, you'll remember me.
So
we talk probably once a month. That's funny.
yeah, he's got a mouth on him.
He sure does. Almost as bad as me.
He's got a mouth on him. So I'm happy to say
He's a
Saul
New Yorker.
got his Kickstarter funded.
Yes, he did.
I'm working now with another friend who I've been friends with 20 years, Tony Prado, who owns Tempting Toys. He's doing the official G-Fantis figure. G-Fantis is the official character of G-Fest, which is the official Godzilla convention.
Right.
So he got the license to do a vinyl of that. So he was here this week, and we were just building his Kickstarter and putting his marketing message together. And I think his Kickstarter is going to go in October.
Right.
Nice.
So G-Fantis. Check it out.
Cool.
I hope that one does well.
Is there a website for that?
There is. I couldn't tell you what it was though.
Okay. So spell it out for us so we can actually look it up.
G-F-A-N-T-I-S.
Okay.
G-Fantis.
And this is the Godzilla Con.
This is the official character for the official Godzilla convention, and this is the first figure ever made.
Wow.
In
Nice.
however 15 years that he's been around.
Excellent. Very cool.
So I had all these files. So Solomon gets funded, and he's like, Rick, I need someone to do CAD. Do you know anyone? I'm like, yeah, I know a couple people. This guy Pierre did some work for me. Talk to Pierre. He's in Germany. So they hook up, and Pierre ends up doing all the work for the Screamers line. And then Saul's like, hey, I need to do a quick head. Do you got anything? Like, he's like, can I have your files? Like, you can help yourself to my file, sure. So the Jet Strike head, which Pierre designed, I think is now going to be on a Hellscreamer figure, which is 3 3/4 inch scale.
Right.
So you can get that Tom Hiddleston Loki-looking head on one of the Screamer figures.
That's
once
awesome.
Once they come out.
That's
So-
awesome.
But Lost Protectors is dead. It had its
Yeah.
chance. It's obviously didn't
Had
work.
2 chances.
I think what happens is that people who collect third-party stuff are used to receiving a certain way for Transformers.
Right.
They're used to receiving a certain way. Hey, here's the gray model. A month later, pre-orders come out. 3 or 4 months later, here's the figure shipping.
Right.
So the Kickstarter path is a little bit different. You know, here's the campaign. You're basically pledging money for something you're not going to get for a year.
Right.
So I think that's what.
I want to try and get it in camera.
This one doesn't walk. The original could walk.
Okay.
This one doesn't walk.
Yeah. Well, after
this one was more expensive too. It should
after
walk.
the Star Wars, the failed Walker, that was $300, and it dropped down to. Some people said they got it for $50.
I got mine, I think, for $80 at
Yeah.
Target. But you can still get them at Toys R Us for $1.99.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
I'll pass,
they
but-
don't discount anything.
No.
I think
No,
that
they
Batman's
don't.
still available
No, they
for
don't.
$50 at Toys R Us.
Which one? The big one?
Yeah.
So it's no
Diecast.
surprise Hasbro didn't want to take a chance at another walking toy.
So I was told when I was at Hasbro, we can never make a Titan Decepticon. It will never sell.
Really?
It will never sell. And it was a big internal struggle to get something that large at that price point made.
Right.
It was never going to happen. So in the last few months that I was there, I think it was Jerry Javoine who said, "Hey, I've got an idea. We should make a really expensive Transformer. Like, we'll make him really big. We'll make him the biggest Transformer that's ever been." Okay, cool. And then everybody jumped on board. And I believe the designer who designed the original Metroplex did the new Metroplex. And all we had at the time, when I left, we had the schematics standing next to a Fort Max to show that he was just a few inches taller than Fort Max.
Wow.
And we were told, we'll never make a Decepticon because it's never going to sell. And it was like, we can never do Devastator in that size because he'll never sell.
Right.
So the plan was we're going to do Metroplex, and then we're going to do Omega Supreme, and then we're going to do Fort Max. But we're never going to do Trypticon or Scorponok. We're never going to do those guys because no way they're going to sell.
Do you think they'll do Omega Supreme in this scale?
I think so. I think eventually they'll get to it. I don't know if it'll be a train, but maybe it'll be the ship from Animated, which to me would be really cool.
Sure.
Well, didn't they do the smaller version of that? They have the ship.
No.
What is that?
No.
Because they had it in the display at HasCon this year.
I think that might have just been part of the display.
Okay. No, it
Was
looked
it?
like it was. Oh, maybe. I have it on some video footage that I
Okay.
took. I threw it up on Facebook, but
I don't know. I can't think of any ship they made. You sure you're not thinking Metroplex?
maybe it is Metroplex. Might be.
Was it?
They had a big giant glass rectangular showcase, with a display with all the
Oh, the
figures.
gray
retro.
models? Yeah, that's Metroplex and Fort Max.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, these were actually painted pre-production, some of them, and it was a whole big display case, like in battle.
Oh, yeah, that's just the display. That's just the diorama
Okay.
they make. Yeah.
So it may have just been
It
something
might
they
have just
had,
been for
but
the
they
diorama.
used.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
What do you think of Unicron in this scale? Something like that?
does he still turn into a ball?
Hopefully.
I mean, that would sell to us, but
Yeah.
the other reason, like they said, Masterpiece Soundwave would never sell because he turns into a box, and he turns into something that kids don't even recognize.
Yeah.
So, imagine, this is the story they threw at me. Imagine just some grandma buys this toy because it's real nice and fancy and expensive for their grandkid. Kid gets it, turns into a box. Is she going to be satisfied with that? Will the kid be satisfied with that? Will the kid even know what that box
What
is
it is.
referencing?
Right.
So I was told, no, you can't make Masterpiece Soundwave. It's never going to happen. But it just goes to show you that a change in leadership opens up a whole new idea. Female figures.
Yeah.
We have a ton of female figures now. It was a battle just to get Arachnid made at the time. And my point was, we have to make Arachnid because we spent all this money to put her in the show. How can we not make her? It's like, well, we're gonna make her. She's got to be real aggressive. So put some guns or something on the side of the helicopter. Okay, and we had to go back and do research to the first movie toys to see that the female figures were actually selling on par with the male figures. And as long as they had a cool vehicle mode, they would. So it was a battle, but we got Aeracta made, even though she's a deluxe and not a cool Voyager one that had spider legs. At least it got made. So Trypticon, Decepticon, right? Told me that you can't make them. So when Metroplex was coming out, we knew we were going to do a Metroplex for San Diego Comic-Con. And I said, we have to do Metro Titan. Metro Titan is the Decepticon version of Metroplex, which was exclusive to Japan. We have to do it in Metro Titan colors. This is the only chance we'll get to do a Metro Titan. It's a limited edition. It's Comic-Con. That's the niche market. People know that. It's going to have a good resale value for everyone who buys it. We got to do Metro Titan. Who's that? It's the evil Metroplex. No, we want to do Metroplex. But you're releasing him in retail. We'll do him in a nice box. He'll have chrome. Okay. So we got a slightly shinier Metroplex in a nicer box, when I think we should have had something different.
Right.
I think exclusives should be different than what is available to the mass market. You know, HasCon, they did an RC. That's really cool. It's a Headmaster RC, but it's going to be available at retail. So it just comes in a black box with a little Ultra Magnus piece. All right, that's cool, but there's something that it loses when you release that at retail. So to me, I think that's why some of those San Diego Comic-Con figures aren't as desirable as the ones previous, like that Devastator. It's just a shinier Devastator than the one that I could have bought at Toys R Us. And so is the Metroplex.
With the high price tag.
Right, and Fort Max, he came with a sword.
Right.
He came with a sword.
The Comic-Con version came with a
Yeah.
sword.
Yeah.
So they only threw in an accessory to
Why-
make it a collector's item.
Why do I need to pay XYZ dollars more just
For
to
a
get a
sword.
sword?
Yeah. When third-party companies sell swords.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a number of, they sold different color swords, one company.
Yeah.
What do you think of third-party Transformers companies?
I think you should collect what you want to collect. You know,
What's
the
true to your heart?
legality thing, you can make an argument for and against it. There's different things you can do and say about it. So let's not touch on that. But you collect what you want to collect. And I'm very grateful that War for Cybertron Trypticon came out. Because I got to work on War for Cybertron, and that Trypticon was amazing, and I really wanted to see that in toy form. And these other guys did it. They did it, and they did it for $300, which is a lot. But to think, turns into Trypticon, it turns into the Nemesis,
Right.
as it did in the game and in the show, and that to me was just, it's amazing. It looks just like it should.
They really found the niche where Hasbro's not filling that.
And did we get Combiner Wars from that? Was that a response to
Yeah.
third parties being aggressive with the combiners?
I think it was, right?
I think Hasbro felt the need to have to play catch up.
Yeah. I think they felt the time because legal wasn't doing anything. That's what we were told. And
There's
I don't want to
various,
say who said it on camera.
Yeah, there's various stories that I can tell you about that. That's for another day. So I'm a big fan of Idwa.
Right.
You might know them as IDW.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Idwa.
the pronunciation, it's actually pronounced Idwa.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, it's
once
pronounced
or twice.
Idwa, not
Yeah.
IDW. So I love their comics. I've been following them from the very start. Got every issue. I got almost every single variant cover out there. And these companies are making the characters the way they look in the comics, which is
Correct.
what I pushed for. I wanted that. That's how we got that ATP Bomber Megatron,
Right.
right? And it came out deluxe. And my whole concept was, we need to make these figures. We need to do that and Ultra Magnus. And they're going to be like deluxe size, and then Ultra Magnus is going to combine with the trailer to be the big giant Ultra Magnus,
Yeah.
right? And then Megatron is going to be the bomber, but he's going to combine with extra armor, and he's going to be the giant, sweep killer that he is in the comics.
Right.
Like, no, we can't. No, you can't do that, Rick, because if you lose a part, then you can't make a full toy. You can't do that. But now, then when we get headmasters,
Yeah.
if you lose the head, you don't have a complete toy.
Yeah, you don't have
So
a head.
it's just to show you how a change in leadership will
Yeah.
change the direction of an entire line.
That's interesting. That's, different managers, different...
Yeah, so Combiner Wars, we're never going to do Combiners again, Rick. We're never going to do Beasts again, Rick. And then, new designer comes in. He's not on the brand anymore. I did not care for that individual. He's like, Beast Hunters. We're gonna make the Autobots. They're gonna hunt dragons because dragons are cool. What? We already have season 3 and 4 planned. What are you talking about? He said, we're gonna make them dragons now. It's got to be in the show. You got to make it work. We're already doing stuff. You can't stop. It's a CGI show. You have to do this months in advance. You have to have a budget.
Yeah.
Beast Hunters, make it happen. So that's when things started to get really rocky between the design team and the producers of the show. And Aaron and I kind of stuck in the middle as the go-between between the two until design team said, hey, we're just going to make what we want to make. And if it's close enough in the show, good.
And they got away with that?
And the production side said, oh yeah, that's okay, yeah, sure. We'll send you some images. And that's why the Optimus Prime doesn't look the way he looks in the show. And that's why there's no other Beast Wars Hunter characters in the show, because we couldn't afford it.
Right.
And that's why Predakin couldn't transform in the first couple episodes, because we couldn't afford it.
Wow.
So he couldn't transform, I think, for 4 or 5 episodes until we had enough money again to make the animation model that transformed.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, so season 3 got changed drastically. Season 4 never happened. Season 4 we were really pushing for that pirate character, Thundertron, which was our answer to Thundercats and Voltron. Thundertron.
Oh my god.
And I really pushed. I said, you're making this guy and he's gonna have a peg leg. And that's how it's gonna be. And I think it started with Joe Kai, and then it went to Bill Raleigh, and he made the peg leg happen. But the leg, it fits in the claw, so you can have both feet, but then you pull the leg off or the foot off, and he's got a peg leg. So they made it happen. They made it happen. I'm very grateful they made it happen. But of course, then the character doesn't show up anywhere. And at that point, we're like, all right, we're gonna bring Breakdown over from Japan. He's a Voyager, he's from Prime, we're bringing him over. Oh, we're Beast Hunters now, he doesn't fit, so we can't bring him over. So that's why we never got Breakdown, the Voyager size Breakdown. Okay, we're moving to dragons. Well, we have the Insecticon character, which is in a bunch of episodes. Yeah, he's not a dragon though, so we're not gonna make him. Okay. We spent all this money to do the animation for this character, and Transformers Prime was falling into that same routine that G1 had, that the movie has, that
The core characters.
to a lesser degree animated and Energon had, where you have all these characters that are not in the show, but you're making toys of them.
Right.
So what's their purpose? Animated to me was the shining star, because animated was unique, because every character that you got in toy form existed in the show.
Yeah.
And that to me is beautiful. That to me is synergy, that you can capitalize off every character in the show. And in fact, you have so many characters in the show, you can't even make all those characters.
Right.
Can we talk about animated Devastator real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
All right,
Go.
so
This is all you, Rick.
Eric C. Miller was the head designer of animated. Him and Derek J. White had a great working relationship, which is why the characters transform the way the toys transform. Because Derek would say, hey, we got this guy, how does he transform? Eric, okay, let me send you the files. We don't have the files yet, I'll draw them for you real quick. That's how he transforms. That's how I want to make the toy work. So we never got the Constructicons from animated, because in season 4 we were going to get a 4th Constructicon, I don't know who, and they needed a 5th guy to form Devastator, and they were going to get Bulkhead. They were going to force him to be the pants.
Right.
I think he was the pants or the torso.
Right, the waist. Yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
So they were going to force Bulkhead to be the part of Devastator that they were missing. And so Eric said, well, okay, we're not going to make toys for these guys until we get to that episode. And then we'll make toys for those guys. No season 4. So that's why we never got the Constructicons and animated. He was also going to do the leader class Omega Supreme with a remolded head into Lugnut. Lugnut takes over the Omega Supreme drones at the end, and so that never came to be either. But I think there was only drawings of that. It never got much farther than just a few drawings that Eric might have done. But animated was so unique in that you didn't have all these other tertiary characters that just existed in toy just because a designer said, hey, I want to make a Swerve. Or, hey, I'm going to make a new guy called Chopper Face, and he's a motorcycle, and he's in that universe. You know, you need some of that stuff to a degree, but when you have all these characters that are in a show that's very, very expensive to make, Transformers Prime, I think the budget was around $450,000 an episode, and then after we brought in Kurtzman and Orsi, and they brought in all their Hollywood bigwigs with them, it ended up going to like 1.2 to 1.6 million per episode. Combined with that you don't have any toys coming out for a year because they wanted to focus on movie toys. And the lesson from animated during Revenge of the Fallen was that you have animated toys, which are very young, rescue bot looking toys, versus movie toys, which are hyper aggressive in the packaging compared to animated. So kids sees animated, kids want to play up their age. They want to go with the movie toys. Animated sales don't go as high as they should have. And they were worried we're going to get that same effect with Prime. So they pushed Prime toys out. That was a Brian Goldner decision. But, you know, he's in a much higher spot than I was, so he had his reasons for making them.
Right.
So now you have a situation where the show was counting on getting royalties in order to continue production. But there's no royalties coming in now in order to help fund production. So now Hasbro is just throwing more money out of their own pocket towards the show. And this is not a shot at the show, or to say the show wasn't good, or whatever you have to say about the show. This is a shot at how everything was managed that affected the show. Right. So because we didn't have the toys coming in to pay for the show, the show started costing us money out of our own pockets after we made this huge investment in the hub, after this huge investment to get the show going. Now we're at season 2, season 3, and the toys are starting to finally hit. The show should have been canceled from a financial standpoint because it wasn't generating any income. So from a financial standpoint, it should have been canceled. But it's not canceled because it's the flagship show of the hub, and we needed that show to succeed. Right. So we keep throwing money at it. And I've said some of this before, and I think people just are misunderstanding it, where the show wasn't unsuccessful. It was the management, the economics that were unsuccessful. And that show should have never gotten to season 2, should have never gotten to season 3. Not because it wasn't good, but because financially it didn't make sense. And eventually the hub collapsed. Part of that was the toy plan. Season 1 of My Little Pony, the brand team wasn't making any product because they didn't like the show, or they didn't understand the show, or they weren't in communication with those guys. I've heard various stories. Can't speak for them because I wasn't on that team, but there was no pony product for this great show, G.I. Joe. Gets canceled by
Renegade?
Yeah. Renegade's a great show.
Renegade was an awesome show.
Triple D cancels it. Dale DePriest cancels it without ever seeing an episode. Cancels it before the first episode even airs. I think a week before the episodes start to air. Saying that show doesn't really represent the brand and doesn't do anything for us. Remember, he said that to me, and I asked him. Leah Gardner was there watching us. It was right by his Yoda statue. And I said, have you even seen the show? No. And I like Daryl. I love the man. He's a true collector.
He is a diehard Joe collector.
He is, and he's done a lot of good for the brand.
He has,
But
absolutely.
this
Mark
is one
Webber,
thing.
too. Mark's done a lot of good too.
This is the one time where I stand against him on that decision, because he didn't even see the show.
He could make an educated, informed
That show
choice.
was bigger than Transformers.
It was a great show.
And the critical response was great. The fans loved it, and we didn't have any product for it.
No.
We had no product for the show. They had
And it would
even
have
made
been easy. It would have been so easy.
It was
to
already
do.
designed. It was already designed. And we had the Coyote, which was the vehicle design. It was really cool.
Yeah.
We had a gray model of it. Never came out. There was a bunch of other figures that never came out. It was too late when they said, okay, well, the show's doing good. We need a season 2. All those people had been let go. Production office had shut down. All that animation studio had moved on to another show. All the writers had moved on. The voice talent moves on. You need to know by the time the first episode of season 1 airs if you're going to do a season 2.
Yes.
For most animations.
Right.
So we couldn't get it done. And we tried, can we get a movie, like a TV movie done? And the budget would have been too much we wouldn't have sold enough product against a TV movie to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I consider us collectors lucky that we got the Renegade figures that we got.
Yeah.
And I think we got some Renegade figures packaged with new heads to fit more in like the 30th anniversary style. But
And then Roadblock was in the box set.
yeah,
The IDW box set.
yes. I think that was a new head though.
Okay.
But I think that was the animated Roadblock.
Yeah.
Or the Renegades Roadblock.
The Renegades were
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm bitter when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's understandable. You know, there's a lot
just-
of politics involved. A lot of people, you know, getting too much opinion in.
Yeah, it's not
Too many
like
chiefs.
um,
And,
Yeah.
And no real serious.
That's right.
So I'm friends with this guy Pablo Hidalgo, and he works at Lucasfilms, and his group, they're the end-all be-all for brand continuity for Star Wars. And Star Wars has done a great job of saying, all right, the books, the movies, the show, they're all in canon, and we control that canon. And we say that, oh, you can't do this in your show because it already happened in this book over here. And they have a whole team at Lucasfilm dedicated to doing that. And we tried being that team at Hasbro, Aaron and I, and we didn't have the authority, and we couldn't get a lot of people to understand that, hey, I know you're making a show over here with the Nemesis, but we're making the Nemesis Trypticon in the game, and the game, we want to retroactively tie that into the show because we didn't know when we were making the game that the show was coming along. So can we have Trypticon be the Nemesis in the show? Well, no. Or, sure, you can tell fans anything you want. We won't reference it in the show, but tell the people whatever you can tell them that's Trypticon, sure. But you'll never see him transform, and we'll never reference it to him. There was that one episode where the ship becomes sentient, and I had pled the case that please, let's just have something to reference that this universe is even loosely connected to the game. And we settled on showing a schematic of the War for Cybertron Trypticon body on a panel, and Megatron was going to see it and do a double take. But that was it. We weren't going to say anything. We weren't going to talk about it. We were just going to have it on a view screen. And we designed it up. We sent it to the studio. We get the episode. Where is it? Oh yeah, we forgot that. Who knows if that was a miscommunication, or if they forgot it, or if they did it out of spite. I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things where we kind of look at each other and we're just like, you know, that could have been our moment. We could have done something with that, spun that off into something else. And we told them when Prime was ending, like, Knockout has to live. Knockout has to live. we want to make that like the Decepticon car. Like he's gonna carry on and be in all the other shows. That's a great character. We need him to live. We need him to survive. So he survives, and I think he joins the Autobots in the end.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't show up in RID.
Oh God. Yeah.
But teams change, and when someone new comes in, they want to do away with the old and implement their stuff.
Yeah.
A new leader of the pack comes in, he eats all the baby cubs from the previous dude,
Yeah.
and then he wants to sire his own kids.
What do you think of Transformers today? The toy line and animated show.
Have you seen any of the
Well,
new
obviously
stuff?
you must be happy with what they're doing because you have Trypticon here.
Yes and no. So I'm very perplexed by the state of the brand.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look on the toy shelves, I see a lot of stuff that doesn't transform,
Okay.
right?
Just
Well,
what you said about Hero Mashers too, and you're
Right.
right to say that.
But
So-
they gave an explanation for that 2 years ago at Toy Fair. They explained that is they're now gearing the figures towards a younger market. So the lack of buildability for the Transformers had to be modified to 3 or 4 joints instead of 120 joints.
When I was a kid, I had guys like Omega Supreme and Jetfire and
Right.
Optimus Prime
Absolutely.
and Ratchet. And there was a lot of parts in there.
Yep.
There was some mechanics involved.
A lot of
there was
small
math.
parts too.
There was parts that didn't fit inside anywhere that you just had to put over here
Right.
until you made him a robot. And then you get the fist and you put the fist on the guy. So that's the era I grew up in. And I thought, what can we do what's best for the toy? All right. So my big issue is a lot of the stuff that doesn't transform. 20, 30 years from now, when we're doing a masterpiece figure, what is a kid going to want as a masterpiece figure? Are they going to want a huge die-cast action figure based off the Titan figure they had that had 5 points of articulation? Or are they going to want something that fully transforms? What they had as a kid doesn't transform. And if Masterpiece is supposed to harken back to what we think we remember as children, then what's a Masterpiece 20, 30 years from now going to look like? What about all those kids that grow up with the stuff that doesn't transform? What if they don't graduate to the next level? When they're collectors, when they're adults, what are they going to want? What product are they going to demand? How will that affect the brand? We're kind of...
Dumbing down.
I think we're not forward-thinking enough in general. Same can be said of Star Wars with, going back on articulation, back to the 5 points of articulation.
There's a lot of collectors that are very upset by that.
There's a place for that stuff, but there's no reason why it can't exist next to Black Series. But
yes. They're bringing back Black Series. They showed off some new ones this weekend, and I hope it does well for them. But we'll see.
Look, my girls, I try to raise them Technicolor,
Right.
because there's a Technicolor aisle and then there's a girls aisle, which is pink.
Right.
And I like them to cross the streams.
Mm-hmm.
I like them to play in both areas.
Yeah.
So,
Because there are female collectors out there that do collect
but
Transformers.
I want my girls to have a well-rounded experience growing up. They've got vintage He-Man figures.
Mm-hmm.
They love Castle Grayskull. Castle
Cool.
Grayskull is Rapunzel's tower. So that princess,
Love that.
her hair comes over, and Flynn Rider comes up in a thunder tank. No treads, because I took the treads off to put on my thunder tank. So they come up in the thunder tank, and that's his metal steed, that's his horse, the
Right.
thunder tank. And he's like, Rapunzel, let down your hair, and she throws her hair down over Castle Grayskull. And he climbs up it, because they don't make a Rapunzel tower. So she uses Castle Grayskull. She also loves He-Man in general, because especially Skeletor.
Not enough kids do. Otherwise, we would have it today.
Well, we have a TV in the car, so
Okay.
I kind of force
Them to
them
watch
to
it.
watch certain things. So we've
Which
gone
are-
through Ninja Turtles, He-Man,
Wow.
Mask, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Voltron. Right now we're on DuckTales and Darkwing Duck.
They're bringing Darkwing Duck back, but I don't know who's producing it.
And DuckTales.
And DuckTales started,
Right.
and in the first scene of the first episode, they're like, "Oh, your business in St. Canard is doing very well," and then they mentioned something about Tailspin too, which all exist in the same universe.
Right.
Except Chippendale Rescue Rangers. That's a
Right.
different universe.
Oh,
That's a different universe. Is it time to wrap it up?
No, well, it's getting close, but we've got a 15-minute
Okay.
trail. We can.
What do you want to throw at me?
Anything else you want to say? What? future
Yeah.
plans?
Okay. So, bottom line is, I think Jon Snow, whether you like him or not, will end up on the Iron Throne. And I think Dany's gonna die.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think Cersei's gonna live. I think maybe she'll go into exile or something, but I think she's gonna live.
What do you think happening in Walking Dead right now? Are you a fan? Well, obviously you are.
Yes.
You
So when you
told
guys
us to
walked
get out
in,
by 9.
I told you have to leave by 9 because that's the only show my wife and I watch together. Besides our kids, zombies are the only thing my wife and I have in common.
Yeah.
I don't even know her name. She's like a doctor or something. I try not to get involved.
Right.
As long as she pays for the toys, I'll be Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we love The Walking Dead.
Right.
Like to go to the conventions and meet the people and
Yeah.
get the autographs. And all right, but what about the Hasbro verse? Do you want to throw at me? Oh. All right. Let me talk about Rom the Space Knight.
Yes.
So
They actually had, I think it was Scat in the costume.
yeah, I saw the costume. It looked great.
Yeah, I have a picture with me and Scat.
Was that an official? Did they pay for that?
Well, Scat is Steve Katzen something or other.
Oh, okay.
Who's the employee,
Yes.
and that was his Halloween
Yeah.
costume. And I think they asked him to wear it for the show because
Yeah.
they had IDW was there with the comic books. They had nothing representing him except for the exclusive,
Right.
which was in the box set, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was a Rom figure in the box set,
Yep.
which
So-
I didn't get.
Halloween is a big thing at
At
Hasbro.
Hasbro. Tell
a
us
lot of
about it.
creative people.
Tell us
So
about
my
that.
first Halloween party, big, huge off-campus party, because there's adult beverages.
Was that
Big,
at the
huge.
G-Pub?
What's
that
well,
up-
it jumps around. It starts at a pub, ends up at someone's house. So, the first year, my first Hasbro Halloween party, my wife and I go as Watchmen. I go as the comedian. She goes as Silk Spectre. And I'll give you a picture for you to tweet out.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I mean, we go all out
Yeah.
on these costumes, and we took first place in the couples competition.
Nice.
And then the second year, we went as Hit Girl and Kick Ass. I was Kick Ass,
Okay.
and she went as Hit Girl,
Okay.
and we took second place. But you can see some crazy costumes. You get a lot of creative people, and they're doing something that they really, really want to do. You see
Yeah.
some amazing
So
costumes
nothing was off
there.
limits for the Halloween
Oh
party.
no, I think
It
one guy
didn't have to
won.
be Hasbro specific.
Oh no, one guy won as going as Hordak.
Oh my
He
God.
had an amazing costume. It just
Love Hordak.
molded. It looked like this guy was going to go shoot a movie.
Wow.
Oh, that was amazing. His Hordak costume. But so we have this legal issues with ROM and Micronauts, and we were trying to figure it out at the time.
They still are.
And even after Aaron and I got let go, they brought Aaron back to explain to them, hey, where did you guys leave off with the legal stuff again? Can you remind us what you were doing with that? So we had ROM, but we couldn't use the name of the Space Knights at the time
Okay.
because Marvel wanted that. So I said, well, if we're going to relaunch ROM, what can we do? We can't make the Space Knights. What if we make ROM a Transformer? And Aaron's like, no, everything's Transformer. We can't make ROM a Transformer. Okay. What if we give them a team called the Cyber Knights, and one of them's a Transformer? So we came up with this idea where Leoric from Visionaries was going to be on the team.
Right.
ROM was going to be the leader.
Right.
A character called Chopperface, who was Dinobot from Beast Wars, and we designed him up, and we designed Leoric, and Chopperface turned into a Dune buggy, but it was Dinobot. We just called him Chopperface, and then
Right,
eventually
sure.
We'd eventually make him a dinosaur later on down the road and call him a robot. But it was that character. The head was the same. And then it was, I think Matt Tracker might have been on that team. And that spun into Unity. And we had all these great ideas that we had put together for Unity. Unity was going to be the Hasbro universe. It was going to be the Avengers. So it was Stretch Armstrong. It was Rom. It was, I think, Scarlet. And then maybe Snake Eyes. And then we switched him out with Duke. And it was going to be Matt Tracker, and Duke and Matt Tracker were going to be like the leaders. It was going to be like Captain America and Tony Stark, button heads, right? Stretch Armstrong, we had the old Stretch Armstrong, like he was looking like Hulk Hogan, right? And in my head, Hulk Hogan's going to play this guy in the movie. And I was like, oh, I haven't stretched in years, man. I can't do that anymore. I can't do that.
Just drop a leg.
Yeah, I can't do that. So we came up with this whole idea. We like wrote scenes, and we wrote the scene where like Matt Tracker and Duke go up to like he's living in like a condo or something, and they knock on his door and he's like, "Are you Stretch Armstrong?" And he slams the door in their face, right? And then
almost like a Joel Colton.
Yeah,
right.
And then he wakes up. There's like this light flashing on him, and he wakes up. He's like, "What's that light?" And then the bay doors to an airplane open. And the whole bed somehow is on the plane, and the bed goes flying out, and he has to stretch into a glider, and it doesn't quite work, and he goes splat right on the ground. And then, Croyer was on the team too.
Okay.
Gary Croyer, because he had to assimilate into Earth culture, but he's like, he couldn't talk, so someone just said, "Oh, his name's Gary." Gary, so like we always in our heads thought that he would be in a suit working at a computer, but he still have the Croyer helmet.
Right.
Would just say Gary,
God.
and him and Snake Eyes would just like, they didn't talk, they would just like make like hand gestures to each other. And Tunrar was the Inhumanoids character. So Inhumanoids got changed to called Primordia because Marvel and humans, and they felt it was too close.
Right.
So we changed it to Primordia, and we needed a character that would be the human entry point to the monsters. And so we created this character called Tunrar, who was he was like a caveman or a Native American, Alaskan, and he gets infected with the monster stuff, and he becomes like kind of like a Swamp Thing type of guy. And we made him so he spoke like your 80s Native American. Like you would ask him a question, he's like, "Tunrar, do you think we can go up there and beat those guys? Long ago, in the time of my ancestors, we fought monsters." And so he would speak like that.
Right.
And man, I wish I had art for that guy still. He was cool. He had like a skull cap, like a buffalo skull on his head, and like leaves would like form like armor around him, and he kind of looked like Groot and Swamp Thing mixed together, and like you kind of saw like the bones of the human underneath it, and all the monsters came from Candyland. They were exiled from Candyland, and then Candyland became this peaceful, beautiful place where everyone's happy.
Right.
And Princess Lollipop came to our world to make sure that once the monsters were awakened, they wouldn't come back to Candyland.
Are you sure you're not watching episodes of Adventureland?
No. This is how crazy we got. And then there was Joaquim Dos Santos, who worked on G.I. Joe Resolute.
Right.
And Joaquim's a great guy. And I kept talking to Joaquim. I'm like, we got to make a G.I. Joe Transformers cartoon movie. And he's like, yeah, well, I get this response. So we're at Comic-Con one year, and I'm like, Joaquim, we animated something.
Right.
We did some animation. And what if the G.I. Joe Transformers movie takes place on Cybertron? So we created some very, very basic rudimentary animation, which probably doesn't exist anymore. It was inside of a ship. You see the Joes, they're all hanging on. Light goes off, red light. It was all black and white, but we had the red light.
Right.
Door slides open. Duke. Everyone starts jumping out. They're gliding towards the ground. It's all clouds. You see explosions.
Oh God.
They keep diving, right? You see a plane come up and they have to get out of the way, right? clouds start to part, and it's Cybertron.
Oh, wow.
And that's where the animation ended. Like the clouds part, you see Cybertron, and you see them gliding down towards it. And then we did some still scenes where we saw Optimus Prime holding up his hand, and there's like a projection here. Oh no, it was Optimus Prime holding up a T-Cog, transformation cog, and Duke is holding up a hologram, right? And it's all the Joe vehicles. So the Autobots become the Joe vehicles to interact. And the Joes were on Cybertron because there was a threat from Cobra.
Wow.
And we went full crazy with it.
Right.
That Cobra Commander downloads his body, and he's like, "You'll scream my name across the stars." So he was the same voice. It was cheesy.
Right,
It was getting
but-
cheesy.
Yeah, but it works.
Yeah.
But it's a
You know how many
one-off.
fans
It's a
would-
one-off.
Do you know how many fans would kill for something like that right now?
Seriously.
I mean, think about it. At the toy fairs that we go to, when Hasbro does their whole, thing, they're like, "What do you guys want to see?" And jokingly, people will shout out, "Transformer G.I. Joe movie,"
Yeah.
or "Transformers G.I. Joe."
I want to write a Batman
Crossovers.
movie.
Go ahead.
Because you know who I want to... Kevin Smith got asked, who's your Batman villain? What will your Batman villain be? You know who my Batman villain would be? Clayface. Because at the end of that movie, he becomes all the different villains. And he can just become anyone.
Anybody.
He can become Batman. And you can have Batman versus Batman. Batman versus Adam West Batman. Batman versus Michael Keaton Batman.
That's
He can become
right.
all these iterations. And he can become all the villains. Right? How crazy would that be? Clayface. So,
That's true. Yeah.
Unity, and I don't know if anyone saw that at IDW. I don't know if that became Revolutions, or I have no idea. But
Unity
we got
as
one
in?
comic book published for Unity at New York Comic Con, where we introduced everyone, and we were forced to put in the new Stretch Armstrong. We had to take out the Hulk Hogan. He was balding,
Right.
but he still had
Had
like
the
the
long
long
hair.
hair, right? And he had a championship belt.
Belt.
And we called him. He was Stretch Armstrong, the Silver Hawk, and his belt had like silver wings on it, because at the time we were thinking, all right, well, we're making a Battleship 2000 show, totally original take, right? So in the Battleship cartoon show, it was amazing. They took old battleships and they retrofitted them to fly in space.
Wow.
And we explained to them, hey, haven't you ever seen that show Yamato? What? What show is that? We have no idea. Had no idea what Battleship Yamato was. So we were thinking,
Because they're in their own little bubble. That's the problem. I think that's the problem with a lot of brand managers, is that they get wrapped up in their own bubble and they don't know what else is out there. Which is why they bring in all the fresh talent.
So we named him the Silver Hawk, and he had a belt that was the Silver Hawk with the silver wings, because in the future, the Silver Hawks would name themselves after the greatest hero of all time, Stretch Armstrong.
I love it. Who even owns the rights to Silverhawks now?
Not Hasbro.
No.
We worked on that. Well, I think they own part of it, and Sectars, which is why I was really surprised when I saw the Sectars Kickstarter stuff
Yeah.
launching. Like, pretty sure Hasbro owns parts of Sectar, and that's why we couldn't use in Unit E a Sectar. We had to call. I think we ended up calling the character. We wanted to use Bug from ROM,
Right,
but we
right.
couldn't call him Bug, so we ended up calling him Sectar. And he was a big insect, totally redesigned it, had nothing to do with the original Sectars. He looked like a big, strong, insect-looking guy, and he talked like this. Like, you couldn't understand him.
Right.
And
like
so,
Jar
like,
Jar Binks almost.
Yeah, and Stretch is like, so are you a boy or a girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost Pat from Saturday Night
Yeah,
Live.
we were going crazy with it. We knew whoever got this. We were trying to put something together that someone more talented than us would take, like, I don't know, a Robert Zemeckis or a J.J. Abrams, and make it into something. And it just never... No new development. Hub failed. Battleship failed. $800 million down the drain. We're cutting all new IP. All new IP is gone. All new IP, all new shows gone.
Wow.
Battleship show gets canceled. It's not a bad thing necessarily.
Yeah.
No money for Joe Animation. All new IPs. We're just focusing on our core. Nerf, Star Wars, Transformers, Ponies, My Little Pet Shop, and Furby. Furby was trying to make a comeback. I think
Yeah, I
Furby's in a
remember that.
perpetual state of trying to make a comeback.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, Furby never quite took off. he's always trying to get to the finish line.
Yeah.
But he never gets up enough speed.
Yeah. No. Yeah, they need to do something there. So.
I got to tell you, Rick,
Yeah.
this has been an absolute treat.
It really has. Thank
to
you
be
so
able
much.
to be able to sit here and just talk toys
Yeah.
and the toy industry. There's not enough of that anymore.
There's not.
I've been doing Toy Fair for 30 years. I know so many people in the industry. I've forgotten half of them. A lot of them have passed on or have moved on, and they're out of the industry altogether.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in the toy industry. A lot of them don't talk to me anymore. And the other half, I don't want to talk to them.
Right.
Well, hey, thank you for coming to my house.
Absolutely.
I know it's an hour and change away from the bro.
It was
It
so
was worth
worth it.
every
It was so worth it.
mile.
So
it really
we can shut the camera off and I can show you what I'm doing in the basement.
Absolutely. We can't show you guys that.
We're going
this
down to
year,
the Rik Cave.
But
vault.
hopefully we'll revisit next
Yeah.
year, and I could show them the final.
Yeah, I'm already a year
Version.
into it.
Okay.
My wife's in it for $24K so far.
Wow. So is this
Are
the
you
new?
doing the work yourself?
Some of it.
So is this the new Kickstarter campaign?
No,
in the
yeah,
making?
pay for my basement. Pay for my basement.
There you go.
Yeah, no, this is I'm a stay-at-home mom, so this
Yeah.
is what I do when the kids are in school.
That's cool.
I paint
That's
things
awesome.
and try to
Yeah.
make things. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Rick. It was
Hey,
great to see
awesome.
you. It's been a
Thanks-
few
thanks
years
for
since I
visiting.
got to see Rick. But well, thank you. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to hit subscribe. I will show you the pictures of Lost Protectors figures that will never be. I asked for Rick for the prototypes we could show you, but he couldn't find them in time.
I have
so.
3 garage bays full of boxes
Yeah.
waiting to go in the basement.
We'll
so
find them soon.
good
Eventually, Rick will dig them out. Eventually,
Yeah.
we'll be back next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I'm giving you 365 days to find them.
I guarantee you I'll need 366.
All right. Thanks. Thank
For
you.
ToyHypeUSA.com, Batman Mark.
Anthony Scott.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm Rick.